What's up, guys? Today on Robbie's Reviews, I am reviewing the 2020 Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S Coupe.
What can I do for you?
You could probably hear every time you say Mercedes, the new MBUX system will pick that up, and it's like Hey Siri, and it'll come on and start talking to you. So just cancel that. And continuing, I just want to thank my friend Rodrigo from Rodspeed, who's allowed me to take his new truck out for the day and give it a review, take it out on the road, see what it's like to drive, and show you guys all the newest features. Let's go check it out. Alright guys, here she is, the 2020 Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S Coupe. Now I know that's a mouthful, but this is one cool SUV. New for 2020, the facelifted version of the GLC 63 Coupe. And actually in 2019, there was no S version of the Coupe. And this facelifted version has everything from new headlights and taillights, new front and rear bumpers, the newest MBUX Mercedes infotainment system, full digital gauge cluster, a newer center screen, and of course all-around air suspension. Now as you can see, Rodrigo has used a lowering module, so in the Sport Plus and Race modes, where the suspension is in its stiffest setting, it'll actually go all the way down. It looks very good. There's no wheel gap whatsoever. And as you can see, this is not your traditional SUV body styling. This is a coupe design, so instead of having a traditional straight roof all the way back, it just kind of ends at a point and goes straight down. You have this kind of coupe sloping roof that goes all the way back here, off to a nice kind of slanted window. Not great for visibility. However, you do have this awesome large ducktail trunk spoiler here. You have the GLC 63S badging. And of course with the revised taillights, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. I don't know if you can kind of see it here in the sun. I have the DRLs on, front and rear daytime running lights. You have this nice circular LED design, which you will have noticed from my 2020 GLE and GLS reviews. So this is kind of the baby of the group, the C-Class. There's a GLC, GLE, GLS. And that same naming scheme kind of carries over to other models as well. So you have CLA, CLS, and so forth. So here you've got the usual V8 bi-turbo badging, but this time you see 4MATIC Plus, which is the new version of 4MATIC, the Mercedes-Benz's all-wheel drive system. It has the ability to send any amount of torque or horsepower to each wheel, depending on the situation. And just looking around, you see things like the classic Panamericana grille, which instead this time actually gets a little bit wider towards the bottom, which adds for more aggression. You have the wider air dams in front, the openings for the radiators, all the parking sensors. You have the front camera here, that's part of Mercedes-Benz's surround view system. You have the stereoscopic cameras up here, that's for the adaptive lane keep assist. And then you have those massive AMG brakes, along with the 21-inch wheels, looks very good lowered on the air suspension. You have this nice design down here on the side step. And this little thing here is actually required on all North American cars. Anytime the tire sticks out past the fender, a little piece is required to add so that to protect pedestrians if anyone gets hit, they don't get like sucked in by the tire or something like that. Mercedes logo there, and the tail light. More AMG badging. You got the AMG badging on the exhaust tips. And the exhaust tips are now 100 millimeters across, same size as on the GT63S, very cool, as well as a more aggressive diffuser. Now with the rear liftgate back here, there are actually three ways to open it. The first is where the rear camera housing is here. You just push that up, and that's a power liftgate. Goes all the way up. You got plenty of space. You have a nice cargo net here. The second way is with the key here. Newly redesigned fob for the AMGs and the other Mercedes models, but this one has the Falter Butt crest on the back. So you just hold the trunk, opens up. And I don't believe you can close it with the fob, but let's try. Oh, it looks like you can. That's something that they've changed. Usually you can never close it with the fob, but that's pretty cool. And the third way is the popular kick function. So you just swipe your foot underneath, just like that. And of course it can be used to close the liftgate as well. Like so. So now let's open it up again. So over here you have this button here, which actually will lower the suspension all the way to make it easier to lift things over the threshold here. But seeing as how the air suspension is already in its lowest mode, it's definitely not going to go any lower. So we're going to turn that off. And the seats here have a one-way power release. And you could definitely fit a lot in here. So right now we're going to turn on the full LED headlights and taillights, as well as the hazard lights. Put the ignition on. There we go. As well as the hazard lights. First, you notice that nice bright indicator, amber indicator here in the mirror. Moving around the front here. What is usually the daytime running light, or DRL, becomes the amber turn signal. Then you have the LED reflectors here. Very, very bright. Moving down the side. You have kind of this wraparound design for the turn signals, as well as the daytime running lights and the brake lights. Turn signals are amber in the rear. Love that. Nice touch. They kept the Euro tail lights. Alright, so now we're going to step inside real quick, turn off the headlights and tail lights. Back to auto. We're going to pop the hood. Check out that 4-liter bi-turbo V8. There it is. 4-liter hot V configuration V8. Built by Maximilian. That's part of the Mercedes-AMG one-man, one-engine policy. A lot of plastic covers, a lot of mechanical things going on down here. Usual reservoirs for coolant and what have you, intakes. You got the turbos right there. All in all, very nice, compact setup here. Nice packaging. And it's basically a front mid-engine SUV. You have most of the engine sitting on or behind the front axle, unlike Audi where they like to sit over the front axle, creating really, really bad understeer. This car actually handles really well, and we'll show you more of that in a little bit when we do the driving portion of the review. So right now we're going to close it down. Check out the inside. So something new that Mercedes-AMG started doing in 2019 was called the emotion start. So basically, if you put the car in, what we're going to do is we're going to do one extra step. We're going to do ignition, open the exhaust here. Actually, let's put it to Sport Plus. Now this is going to be kind of hard to do with the camera, but basically all you do for emotion start is you hold the left paddle, press the push start down here, and then you get an extra aggressive startup. So let's see if I can set the camera here. So it revved to almost 2,000 that time for the emotion start. And Rodrigo actually has these nice aluminum paddles here, these add-ons to the regular paddles, which are quite small. These you can put your whole hand on. Feels very good. You have the flat bottom steering wheel here, totally redesigned. That got redesigned in 2018. This being the S model, you have all these screens here. You have reconfigurable. So you have exhaust closed and open. You have start, stop. And here you have your mode selector, so Sport Plus, Race, Sport, Comfort, Individual, Snow, or Wet Weather. We'll go back to Sport Plus. Now in Sport Plus, that actually puts the suspension in its stiffest mode. So when I was talking earlier about how Rodrigo has the suspension model, this mode actually has the suspension in its lowest setting. Of course you have your selector here. You can go dynamic, Race, Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, all that. Slippery. And here you've got your exhaust valves, radio control, volume control, start, stop, and turn that off. And your surround view, 360 cameras right here. Here you've got your front view, 180. You have your top-down view here, 360 with the top-down view, the rear view. Has the self-parking, of course. You can do perpendicular and parallel. This is probably my favorite view. with the top-down panoramic view and the front camera. Then over here, you have probably one of my favorite parts of the car. One is, unlike the S-Class and GT63 and the E63, where you have two massive 10+ inch screens that are just kind of glued together and put on the dashboard. While it's nice for those cars, this is a more sporty, smaller vehicle. And what they've done is they've kept the traditional shaped bezel here. So you have there's this shape here where you would have the traditional gauges, the analog gauges, but they've actually just put a full digital screen in there. So it's the same size you would normally get in any of those other cars I mentioned, except you've got the look of the classic design, and you basically get the best of both worlds. You get all the technology, the reconfigurable display, and you get a wider screen here, as well as all the vents. You got the carbon, close that, even more carbon fiber. And actually in here you have an NFC wireless charging pad. Pretty good sized cup holders. You got the trackpad here, which they've gotten rid of the rotating wheel, which I do love in my S-Class. However, this trackpad is nice. There's haptic feedback. Go home. It's very, very fast. It makes a little sound every time with the haptic feedback. And with the new MBUX system, which I'll showcase in a little bit, it is also touchscreen, so it's just as fast as any smartphone. You've got your ambient lighting of all the colors, 64 color ambient lighting. Right now Rodrigo has it on ocean blue. You can do the multicolor animation, welcome, climate, stuff like that. And one thing I want to show you guys with the new MBUX system is it has a kind of a Hey Siri feature like on the iPhone. So if you say, Mercedes,
How may I help you?
change the ambient lighting color to green.
Okay, I'm changing the color.
And you can see it change the ambient lighting to green. So, stuff like that. And you can actually control, go all the way around, have any hue you want. It's very, very, very cool. And of course, down here, you've got things like the navigation, the map, which is pinch to zoom. It's very, very snappy, just like on a phone screen. And actually, another thing, if you go to vehicle, actually let's do assistance, got all your traffic sign assist, active brake assist, attention assist, camera and parking, blind spot monitoring. Go back home. Let's go to AMG track pace. So it says warning, use this on racetracks only. It's a very cool feature that's in all new AMGs now. This being an S model, it has things, of course, like launch control and the special rear differential. Extra power, of course, as opposed to the regular 63. So here you can do things like track race, drag race, telemetry, all that. Choose the screen, go back. If you go track race, you can actually choose your track. Let's go back. See where it chooses the tracks. Here we go. So Bilsterberg, all these tracks, Circuit of the Americas, Laguna Seca, and you can add tracks, of course. So here in Florida we have Sebring, Homestead, Palm Beach International Raceway. Actually, you could add two, I've seen on other cars. So that's something really cool. Drag racing, I don't think you have the available tracks, but you do have 1,000 feet, quarter mile, eighth mile, 330 foot, half mile, and then standing mile, which is very cool. Leave it on quarter mile. Going back, let's see what else we have. Media, Sirius XM, AMG Performance. Now this you guys might be familiar with from my other AMG reviews. This being the MBUX system, it has the dynamic select mode kind of like reconfigured. So here you have your individual configuration. This is what Rodrigo has, I'm not going to mess with that. Request at start. Restore drive program, that's pretty, I'll just leave that alone. So here we got vehicle. You know, it kind of shows all the dynamics of the car. We'll put it into, we'll do Sport Plus. Back. And this shows everything from the steering angle to how the suspension is traveling. It actually shows a little graph here and how it's lowered. So right now it's lowered 1 inch. And then if I turn the suspension, the mode off here, it'll actually go up. So you see it's now at 0. And if I want it to lift, it'll lift 1 inch. But we'll put it back into the low mode here. And moving to telemetry, you have the G meter here, acceleration and brake, so it'll show the exact amount of brake pressure I'm using. Very cool. Let's see, actually, go back. Well, that's just full screen. So go back to engine. It shows your current engine performance. So got your temps and everything, engine oil temp, trans oil temp. We have consumption, so fuel consumption. Go back here. Here you have your themes. Put it into Sport Plus. Down to themes. Here's all your comfort, and then you have your Sport Plus setting. That's actually what he was already in. So we'll go back down to themes. You can create your own theme. Got your suggestions, so you have experience. So that just changed the gauge cluster. I do like how it has the traditional sized gauges inside the physical bezels. But we're going to go back, themes, and I just opened the exhaust because now we're in Sport Plus. And Rodrigo has opted for the black and red pepper comfort seats, which looks very good. It has the perforation for the ventilation for the seats, and it's got heating as well. They are 3-person memory. They have the AMG logo here and the Falterbach crest. All the contrast red stitching. You have the Alcantara little kind of accents throughout. Very similar to the C63S Cabriolet and Coupe and Sedan. Up here you've got the contrast stitching all across the dashboard. Full leather, red stitching. Looks great. You have the Burmester system. Got this kind of like nice brushed aluminum look. If you guys know what the inside of a C63S looks like with this option, it's very, very similar. This being the GLC, it's going to have an almost identical interior, except it's an SUV. Here you have a nice slim rectangular mirror, very slim frame, looks good. This is just where the stereoscopic cameras are. LED interior lighting. Manual sunshade. No pano roof on the Coupe. On the SUV, you actually do get a pano roof. But this being the Coupe, you do not get it. So we'll close that. Got Bluetooth speakers up here. Got reading lights. The rear lights back there. Got all your headlight controls, paddle shifters, power steering wheel. Pretty decent center console. Very, very deep. Back seat is not too bad. I actually think it's a little bit bigger than the regular C-Class. Got the ambient lighting showing there. Very, very cool. So now we're going to get some startup and rev clips, and then we're going to take it out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Right now we're in the 2020 Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S. And of course the MBUX system just came online because I said Mercedes and it interrupted me. Because when you say Mercedes or hey Mercedes, it'll come on, so you just go away. And back to the dynamic select here. We're in Sport Plus mode. We have the configurable selectors here. You just press it, it goes to individual. You can turn it, it goes to Sport Plus. Right now the car is in Sport Plus, which is when the suspension's in its lowest, so we're going to put it in comfort so we don't rub or bottom out on anything. And you have the other selectors here. We have the exhaust open, we have start stop off, but you can reconfigure that and go to wherever you want. I've got the cooled seats on. Very, very comfortable comfort seats. Got the full digital display. Got the brake hold on, sitting in Miami traffic. It's just like a regular luxury car until you really open up the taps, which we're going to do in a second. Going to do a little race start. a 30-foot race start. My phone just flew to the back seat. Do some downshifts here. Now that 9-speed AMG speed shift gearbox is very snappy. The gear ratios are perfect, great for city driving and highway driving. The car hasn't gotten confused yet about what gear it should be in. It always knows what the right gear, especially when you're in Sport Plus. It'll always shift late, it'll hold RPMs as long as possible, and it'll downshift and rev match very quickly. I love that about it. So right now we're in downtown Miami. Well, the roads aren't really the best, so we have the air suspension and comfort. Gotta love those downshifts. You get the pops and crackles from the AMG Performance exhaust. I really prefer to have the valves open all the time. In comfort, it just doesn't sound the same. And I actually love that the mode for the open exhaust is called powerful. So I don't know if you heard that, I provoked that Kia from launching in front of me. Chase him a little bit. So nicely. This might be the entry-level AMG SUV. It's only the C-Class, it's the GLC. The new GLE 63S and GLS 63 just got announced, and they should be hitting the US market within the coming months. But I mean, this is the smallest, most agile of the three, and I've driven actually the C63S Coupe, Cabriolet, and Sedan, and this basically feels like that with an SUV body, but air suspension, revised transmission, just new technology. It's really just a great car. Really nice offering from AMG. They usually knock it out of the park when they come out with these new models, and the new GLC 63S Coupe is no exception. Alright guys, well that should do it for this review of the 2020 Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S Coupe. Once again, I just want to thank my friend Rodrigo from Rodspeed for allowing me to review his new AMG Beast. See you next time, guys.